Well, hello and Happy New Year. This is the tarot for the month of January 2025, and we have some interesting card insights to share this month. I've been very curious about the effect that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will have on the food we eat and the major food processing industries. So that became one of my questions. And then I couldn't skip the transhuman issue that we keep hearing so much about, more and more. And since we're starting a new year, I was curious what the cards would say about what we might expect as the year unfolds. And then lastly, I wondered what the animal world would ask us to be mindful of over the next month. So let's begin. The questions are, number one, what impact will RFK Jr. have on the food advice we are given and the big transnational food processing companies? Question number two, what do we need to know regarding the transhuman agenda being pushed by the UN? Number three, what is the most important attitude to have as we face the year 2025? And number four, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us in January? So the cards drawn were number one, the Hermit, or for question number one, it's actually card number 9, the Hermit, in the major arcana, meaning it's a major issue. Question number 2, for question number 2, I drew the Devil. And because this was such a negative card, I thought, okay, let's draw a modifier, and that was the 5 of Pentacles, but this is not a very good modifier. It does not bring out the good side of the Devil, okay? Question number 3, I drew the 2 of Wands, and then I decided to draw a modifier for that and got the Wheel of Fortune, which is a very good modifier. So the 2 of Wands is well aspected. And then lastly, for animal advice, we have the Frog, number 38 in the animal medicine deck. It's a wonderful card. So question number 1, what impact will Robert F. Kennedy Jr. have on the food advice we are given and the big transnational food processing companies? And the card drawn here was the Hermit, number 9 in the major arcana. And this is a really surprising card pull, indicating that not only is this a major lesson for us, but a profound one as well. A hermit is usually thought of as one who withdraws from society. Somebody who wants to seek transcendence and oneness with God. But even more significantly, this card symbolizes one who has been to the mountaintop and returned with a message of special importance. So it may be the card of withdrawing, but since our question is about RFK Jr. and his impact on food advice and transnational companies, this more likely indicates that we will be doing the withdrawing from the foods known as factory foods, or an eventual withdrawing of the big food processing companies from doing business as they've done in the past decades, or even the withdrawal of RFK Jr. from the position he has taken on. So we'll have to watch and see. When you look at the card, you see that the Hermit fills the card from top to bottom. Even by itself, that filling the card symbolizes a very big issue that fills our attention. over this next month and probably far beyond that. The hermit is wearing a light gray hooded cloak, and here the light gray represents the color of neutrality, unconscious behaviors, and detachment. Since we are talking about impacts, this symbolizes that Kennedy's impact may create an interest in foods that foster health, the personal development that is possible when one is healthy, and an astute awareness of one's individual condition, both physically and mentally. The hood represents a warning against rules that try to make too much change too quickly. That hood says, it's better to be a little quieter, move gradually, and attend to the essentials of life without a lot of fanfare. The hermit is holding a lantern with a six-pointed star shining from within it. This has several meanings. First, that lantern is a symbol of the night watchman, and it warns that there will be a need for vigilance during a period of darkness. Is it possible that the food shortages that have been predicted will be a period not so much of a lack of food, but rather of not wanting to purchase the food being offered to us and not knowing where to find real food? So that's a possibility, one possibility for that lantern. Second, the lantern signals the need to prepare for change in order to navigate the darkness. And this hints that some people may be very upset by the influence of Kennedy and will seek to cause chaos, which then we would have to navigate. However, it assures us that there will be enough light to find a new path, and our task will be to take appropriate action. Is that appropriate action the need to take responsibility for feeding ourselves and one another? Making sure that everybody's taken care of? Third meaning for that lantern, that six-pointed star shining from within the lantern hints that RFK Jr. and the food issue may be about more than just food. The star represents the coming together of heaven and earth. Heaven is the state of consciousness, and earth is the state of the body. And together, this hints that a consciousness of joy, contentment, and satisfaction permeates life when the body has achieved excellent physical condition. This melding of high consciousness and physical health can only be achieved when the diet consists of high energy foods having high density nutrition. The hermit has a thick white beard and is holding a yellow staff. That thick white beard symbolizes wisdom and extraordinary potency, while the yellow staff represents strength, support, intellectual and spiritual clarity, and the ability to reflect the light from the lantern he is holding. Is RFK Jr. offering us some wisdom and a very potent path to better physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health? The hermit is standing in the snow on top of a mountain. The snow symbolizes the end of one season or era and a move into a quiet period of learning and discovery while waiting for the spring and a new start. Since we're asking about the impact on food and big food companies, this might represent a period of coming to understand something critical about the food we have been eating. And this understanding might then lead people to abandon many of the foods they have been eating. This in turn could spark a new beginning in terms of health and vitality, a sort of OMG, I didn't know that period of time that has a far-reaching impact. So that mountain that he's standing on represents a problem or challenge of huge significance. And this card warns that in the beginning, it would be natural to look at that mountain and be overwhelmed by the climb. However, it urges the seeker to see the mountain as the key to transcendent states of being that simply can't be reached by staying down at the base. It also tells us that it may be difficult to see the significance and value of reaching that mountaintop until you get there. But that mountaintop represents complete understanding and the ability to see the situation in a whole new light. The entire sky behind the hermit is gray-green, and this color, together with that light gray robe he's wearing, symbolizes the need to detach from old ideas, old habits, and to focus on the essentials. In fact, this card often carries the message to make calm but steady efforts to throw off harmful, useless, or unimportant ballast and concentrate on the key essentials. What are the key essentials here? Is it to understand that we cannot build a human body with full human potential on a diet of chemicals and fake food? The hermit is often seen as a representative of Father Time, and he brings up the question, is the time of factory food and the big food processors coming to an end? Keywords for this card are prudence, need for circumspection, treason, rogue actions, corruption, concealment, disguise, policy, fear, unreasoned caution, withdrawal, a wider perspective needed, clarity, and understanding. So question number 2. What do we need to know regarding the transhuman agenda being pushed by the UN? The card drawn here, and I have to say, I shuffled and shuffled and reshuffled and cut the deck 3 different ways, and hoping to get something that would show that that agenda is not as bad as we thought it was. And I'm afraid it's as bad, or maybe worse, than we were afraid of. So the card drawn here was the Devil, number 15 in the Major Arcana. So when I drew a second card to see how the message of the Devil card might be modified, it came up as the 5 of Pentacles. Not a very good modifier. So let's take these 2 cards as a warning regarding the transhuman agenda. We've seen the Devil card recently because it came up last month in answer to a question about how our finances would look over the next 3 months. Now here it is again, and it's very badly aspected by that 5 of Pentacles. When we look at the Devil card, we see a large horned devil with the hairy legs of a goat sitting on a black cube and holding up one hand with the fingers resembling the Vulcan greeting. The Devil has a gray beard, a big triangular head with a sharply angular chin pointing downward, and some large horns that also point down. He has large gray bat wings, is holding a torch of fire, but he's holding it low, and the background and the landscape are completely black. A man and a woman stand in front of the Devil, and they're chained to that black cube. Both the man and the woman are completely naked, representing a lack of protection a lack of readiness, an absence of shielding from the work of the devil. And both of them, male and female, have a long tail. The man's tail ends in fire, symbolizing passion, sexuality, and aggression. The woman's tail ends in grapes, representing fine wines and the desire for all of the goodies of life. Both of them have bright red hair and horns. The devil card is often said to represent the Prince of Darkness, who operates by deception and distraction. He always has a hidden agenda, usually one that's obvious once you realize what that hidden agenda was. But people are distracted from recognizing and dealing with that agenda because the Prince of Darkness is busy allowing them to fulfill every wild wish and fantasy they can come up with. Often those wishes and fantasies stem from the see-me or selfish side of life, and people get excited because they think they're getting away with something. But whether good or bad, the chance to fulfill these wishes and fantasies serves as a huge, monstrous distraction from what people should be dealing with. And then later, they realize they were only lying to themselves and stealing time and energy from their future. Since our question is about transhumanism, are we ignoring this issue and its true meaning because we're distracted by something new and shiny? What do we need to know about the transhuman agenda? Or do we dismiss it because it sounds so stupidly outlandish? The devil is also known as the Great Satan, and this refers directly to the power of society and material life to make one just totally forget the spiritual side of life. What is the spiritual side of life? It's the opportunity to develop one's consciousness and move to a new, more loving, and more powerful kind of existence that transcends the suffering and sorrows of a material realm. Instead, consciousness focuses on creating a different kind of world, a world of, say, beauty and contentment, or maybe laughter and inventiveness, a world of perhaps health and cooperation, or whatever the group spirit wishes to manifest. Spirituality is the development of the ability to manifest what has true meaning to you. The good side of the devil card, and it does have a good side, is the decision to set oneself free by recognizing those invisible chains that keep one in a state of misery. It also can bring a great light into life via that torch that sometimes illuminates the darkness and triggers understanding and brings a number of realizations regarding one's choices, your situation, your condition, etc. As we've pointed out in the past, the devil represents confusion, loss of common sense, and the feeling of having no power to make anything happen because you've given your power away. This often occurs when people keep hoping that someone more powerful out there will take care of them. This is the chain that must be taken from around the neck. Take care of yourself first. The Five of Pentacles, which I drew, hoping to get a card that would show the good side of the devil. This one does not offer much support for that. In the Five of Pentacles, we see two beggars, one of them crippled and the other blind, wearing rags and trudging through cold and snow past a church that symbolizes what they once believed about life before tragedy struck. The Five of Pentacles is also a card of the turning point. It tells us that the transhuman agenda is approaching a turning point, and therefore, so are we. This card warns that only after turning this corner will we see and understand the severe setbacks and controls that will cripple civilization's ability to survive and thrive. And it will leave many without any idea of how to move forward because everything they once believed in is gone. What is needed in a situation like this? It's a set of alternate beliefs. What might those beliefs be? Well, ask yourself, what would allow you to hold your center and quickly reorganize your time, your life, and your energy in the face of betrayal by significantly powerful people? That black cube symbolizes the material world and the endless wants and desires that plague a greedy population. It warns of problems that do not have obvious or easy solutions. And it represents the possibility of having to face unknown parts of oneself due to a crisis. So, what parts of yourself would you have to face if you or your children were forced to have an injection of graphene oxide? And what if that graphene oxide could then be remotely assembled into a frequency receiver capable of overriding the normal frequencies of the brain, rendering you and your family as controlled transhumans? I think that's what the zombie movie was about. Would all that money you were focused on and all that material stuff you were busy collecting be worth it? Horns. Horns symbolize a number of things, and in this card, both the devil and the people have horns. Horns indicate power, protection, strength. They can symbolize the ability to serve as antennas that pick up information needed for salvation from oppressors. However, here the horns are coupled with bright red hair, which symbolizes unruly passions, madness, aggression, and the absence of depth and forethought. Together, the horns and the red hair indicate low levels of consciousness and goals that are not very lofty. The gray beard symbolizes cunning more than wisdom. Beards usually mean wisdom, but the gray beard symbolizes cunning and tells us that something is being stolen or pirated away. The hand, that hand showing the sign, the greeting sign of Vulcan, who symbolizes the blacksmith. Vulcan symbolizes the blacksmith and metalworking. And that trade, blacksmith and metalworking, are what created the tools of war used to conquer people. Interestingly, modern TV and movies have recast that sign of Vulcan into live long and prosper. But the question becomes, who's being encouraged to live long and prosper? Is it us or the UN? The bat wings are significant in that they appear to reach far beyond the edges of the card, which warns that there is something we are not seeing and is something that is deliberately being obfuscated. The basic message of this card is you are on the horns of a serious dilemma. Set yourself free by dealing with it. In other words, stop ignoring it Keywords for the devil are control, greed, low level of consciousness, blindness, weakness, violence, theft of free will, pride, extreme dilemma, force, fatality, ravaged humanity, possession, and damnation. Question number 3. So, question number 3 is, what is the most important attitude to have as we face the year 2025? And the cards drawn here were the Two of Wands, and then I drew a modifier, which was the Wheel of Fortune, number 10 in the major arcana. So when you look at the Two of Wands, you see a figure standing on a battlement overlooking the water. And on one of the battlements, a rose, a lily, and a cross have been painted. The figure wears a beige tunic, and over that, a long red robe, and then a red hat with a design on the hat that resembles the battlement. In his right hand, he holds the entire globe. And with the left hand, he holds a wand. A second wand is over to the right and behind him. Stretching around the bay of water is a rich green landscape of valleys and seaside areas. And in the distance is a ring of mountains, one of them being bright blue, and the sky is gray. The battlement on this card points to the fact that a battle is going on. And since the card also carries the message of remember your independence. Remember your independence. It may be that the battle is to maintain independence. In fact, this card is a reminder not only of independence itself, but of what that independence means in a changing world and what it demands from us. The figure standing on the battlement is in full view. He's not trying to hide. He's not crouched down. And this symbolizes that there's been a temporary pause in the fight, perhaps to reflect and take stock or to rethink the plan. It indicates a need to get above the fray, to get a better view of how things are unfolding, and to create a new plan if necessary. And that might be the core message for our question, or the answer for our question, what do we need to have as we face 2025? Get above the fray, get a better view of how things are unfolding, and create a new plan. Those two wands represent the instinctive action of the left hand and the more deliberate will to action of the right hand. The advice from the Two of Wands is that a large task is presenting us with a challenge that will require a choice between two paths. Might this be the choice of whether to succumb to the transhuman path or carve our own path? Might it be the choice of whether to give up in the face of financial or food, medical, or societal chaos? Might it be the need to swallow your pride and reconnect with family or neighbors because you suddenly realize you need them? The figure on the battlement has a hold of the wand on the left, which symbolizes that we have an instinctive grasp that something important is at stake here. But the wand that's to the right and behind the figure says that we really don't know what to do about it. Since we're asking what attitude we should have as we head into the new year, this card tells us that we should pause in our struggle and take time to come up with plans, strategies, and possibilities that achieve a balanced use of both instinct and will to resolve our struggles. We need balance. A forced resolution is usually not a balanced one, and it ends up being temporary. The clothing the figure is wearing represents the nature of the conflict. That beige tunic is an effort to keep things looking normal, but that red robe shows the passion and the anger that underlies that normal behavior. Countering this is the red rose, the white lily, and the black cross, which is an ancient symbol of alchemy. Are we in the midst of something that will transform us? Yep, probably so. That black cross represents the rough, coarse, material side of life. The one's habits, your thoughts, your health, the everyday side of life. And then that white lily represents cleaning up one's life, habits, thoughts, and health. Cleaning up. And the red rose symbolizes transformation and the move to a higher consciousness. Are we trying to figure out how to handle our situation using the same kind of low-level consciousness that created it? Isn't there a quote somewhere about that? Something from Einstein? Yeah. The figure standing on the battlement is holding a globe in his right hand. The globe symbolizes planet Earth, and the message is, the ball is in your court. Observe the way things work in the world and try to get a new grasp of things. Shall I read that message again? The ball is in your court. Observe the way things work in the world and try to get a new grasp of things. The warning that comes with this is that you can't measure everything with the same yardstick. What yardstick do we want to use to measure 2025? Is it how much money we made? How many people have been fed? How many people have clean water and electricity? How many babies were born healthy? How many people have survived? You can't measure miles with a thermometer, and you can't measure temperature with a ruler. Each one of these questions requires a different kind of yardstick, and the quality of measurement depends on the level of consciousness you are living and working from. What is that new grasp that we need? And how shall we decide what we've created, whether it's good or bad? How shall we measure that? The Two of Wands, in addition to encouraging us to remember independence, also demands that we act on what we think is good and right and true. The globe in the right hand of the figure on the card says that we're dealing with a global problem and that a new world or a new model or a new framework for existence must be created. As we move into 2025, should our attitude be that we are creating a new world? Oh my, that's not a small task, especially since it comes at the same time we are asked to get control over our own lives. This card carries the warning, get going and don't do a half-assed job. It tells us that we have been the victim of our own fantasies, and it's time to return to reality, where real decisions affecting real people are made. The modifier of the Two of Wands is the Wheel of Fortune, whose basic message is And I love this message. Happiness is having a talent for fate. Happiness is having a talent for fate. In other words, learning to handle the changes with a sense of excitement, adventure, and willingness to learn as we go is having a talent for fate. Another way of having a talent for fate is to create your own luck. And the Wheel of Fortune symbolizes a change of luck. Is that a change for the better? The worse? Is it a change of luck for us or for the cabal? The Wheel of Fortune has a number of symbolic messages, but chief among them is the message from the Sphinx. And that message is, it is time to either solve the mystery of life or die. That's pretty blunt. There are many mysteries of life, but the first one to understand is that we are powerful creators of our reality. Is what we are living with something we deliberately created or something someone else created for us? Has their creation taken prominence over ours because we have not been using our power? Might that be something to quietly reclaim as we move into 2025? The Wheel of Fortune advises that we learn to watch for and welcome coincidences, and to cautiously accept these as gifts from the universe. In other words, we are not to be gullible. We are to be discerning. The wheel doesn't promise completely smooth sailing, but it does promise that if we will use everything we've got, physical energy, history, time, money, ideas, emotions, a spirit of can-do, a bullheaded refusal to give up, a reliance on our own power, passion, communication skills, perspectives, trust in ourselves, and an unwillingness to back down in the face of fear, we will discover our way of doing things. And we will forge our own path into a beautiful and inspiring future. Together, the Two of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune portend a pause in the fight, a chance to reflect, a coincidence that will give us a leg up in the struggle, and an opportunity to reshape the world as something beautiful and kind that operates at a higher level of consciousness. Keywords for the Two of Wands and the Wheel are break in the clouds, destiny, choices, luck, chance, success, increase, abundance, balance, global mysteries, purification, transcendence, open books, interrelationships, fate, continuity, change, unity, independence, ripeness for higher dimensions, cooperation, and connections. Question number 4, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us in January? And the advice for this month comes from the frog, number 38 in the animal medicine cards. So frog energy is wonderful energy. And its message is time to clean up. This means cleaning up personally in terms of the body and the mind. Cleaning up the world around you in terms of your house and your personal property. Cleaning up your business in terms of bringing your mind, money, and business practices into alignment. cleaning up your country in terms of institutions, councils, and governments, and cleaning up your planet in terms of soil, water, and air. Frogs have long been associated with water and emotions, and they're often associated with elves, fairies, the moon, and the intuition that leads to transformation. So the frogs are connected to Mother Nature big time. Frog energy is also a key element in bringing the dead back to life and helping to assemble and reassemble the elements of life that have become disconnected and scattered all over. Frogs live close to the water, and their entire life is spent either in or on the water. And since water is a symbol of emotions, this tells us to stay close to our emotions if we want to understand ourselves deeply. Emotions and feelings are primary. That means we have a feeling response to everything, which then drives our thinking, which in turn drives our decision-making. The worst decisions in the world are those made without reference to feeling. Frog energy is very sensitive to the emotions of others. And frog people know how to be sympathetic in a really sincere way. Frogs also have long been said to control the weather and to be able to call the rain for every purpose, for cleansing, for healing, to help things grow, to flood and wash away, clear away, to stir, to quench thirst, and to energize situations that have become stagnant. Have we become stagnant and stuck in a world that needs a good cleanup? Frogs are extremely sensitive to sound, and their advice is to pay close attention to how sound in the form of words, music, and movies influences us. Frog energy also warns that if we're not paying attention to our own self-talk, that stuff going on in your head, we will miss the chance to respond to our deepest feelings. The American Indians felt that frogs, with their ribbit, ribbit songs, were able to call the thunder beings that brought the rain and storms needed to refresh and fill the heart mind, and that we should not be afraid of the storm. When frog energy hops into our lives, it's time for a pause. Didn't we just hear that? Frog energy asks you to assess yourself and be honest if you're feeling tired, frustrated, weak, anxious, a nervous wreck, overworked, harassed, or empty. If you have any of these feelings, you are advised to take a break in a tub of warm water, unplug your phone, do some breath work maybe, or sit on the porch with a cup of coffee or tea and just relax for a bit. Says Frog, the key is to get rid of distractions. Didn't we just talk about distractions in question 2 around the transhuman agenda? Frog also says it's important to clear away the muck and replace it with good, clean energy that fills you up and removes negative worries. Frog energy warns that life can be an overwhelming affair, and it's necessary to watch for quicksand. In modern terms, quicksand would be someone who invades your quiet time and saps your energy, or constantly squabbles with you. Remove yourself and give yourself the gift of time and space to develop a new point of view, or to figure out what it is that catches you off guard and lands you in the mud of an argument. Says Ted Andrews in his book, Animal Speak, the frog is a totem of metamorphosis. It's a symbol of coming into one's own creative power. And I can't think of a better gift for us right now than coming into our own creative power. Isn't that just what the Two of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune were calling for? So let's sum up what we've said in this month's tarot. Question number 1 was, what impact will RFK Jr. have on the foods we're advised to eat and the big transnational food processing companies? And surprisingly, the card drawn was the Hermit, number 9. This tells us that if Kennedy stays the course, he will have a huge impact on what we eat. And this in turn will affect everything about us, our physical condition, our state of mind, the emotions we are capable of, and the spirit with which we conduct our lives. The Hermit suggests a period of darkness in which we have food available, but it's not the food we want. And this could cause some difficulties temporarily. It's also the card of withdrawal. And it tells us that some of the big food companies may end up withdrawing or going out of business. The message of the Hermit is to calm down, get clear, and make steady efforts to throw off hurtful, useless, or distracting habits while keeping an eye on solutions and habits that bring lasting results. Concentrate on the essentials. Question number 2 was, what do we need to know regarding the transhuman agenda being pushed by the UN? And the Devil, number 15 in the major arcana, and the 5 of Pentacles as modifier were the cards here, both of them carrying heavy messages. The Devil card symbolizes being caught in a serious situation from which we will have to free ourselves. It warns that we have ignored something important because we were caught up in frivolous or selfish distractions. The problem with distractions is that they tend to negate the power of the people, whereas the 5 of Pentacles indicates being blinded and crippled in the future because we didn't pay attention to what was unfolding around us. These 2 cards signify a loss of belief in everything except our own powerlessness. That's not what we want. And they warn that it's almost too late because we're at a turning point, but it's not too late. These cards urge us to be aware of betrayal and to make new choices that carry us to freedom. Question number 3, what is the most important attitude to have as we face the year 2025? And the cards drawn here were the 2 of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. So these cards are right in tandem with the cards above. The 2 of Wands says that we instinctively know something, but we don't know what to do about it. This indicates that we are trying to solve a problem without really having a clear idea of what that problem is, and that a pause or time of quiet reflection is needed in order to get to a place of clarity. The 2 of Wands represents an opportunity to build a whole new world, but in order to do so, we will have to change significantly, as indicated by the Wheel of Fortune. Let the wheel turn. And question number 4, what advice does the animal kingdom have for us in January? And the animal offering us advice this month is the frog, number 38 in the animal medicine deck. The frog is a wonderful symbol of metamorphosis into something new and better that is achieved by cleaning up ourselves, our homes, our businesses, our country, and our planet. In fact, that idea of cleansing, of cleaning up and letting go of everything old, has formed a theme running through this entire reading. From cleaning up our diets to clearing away the old social programming, to clearing away the distractions, to seeing a clear path to success in the fight that we really don't know how to handle. Everything has been about cleansing. Frog energy reminds us to take a break when needed because metamorphosis is big work. It symbolizes rescuing something that is half dead or dead and making it come alive again while growing into wisdom. It warns us to get rid of distractions and be aware that we are coming into our own creative power, something that couldn't be more timely. So thank you, Frog. That's it for this month's tarot. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And let's get ready to shift what we eat, let go of distractions, move into our own creative power, and allow a little time for quiet reflection here at the beginning of the year while we figure out how to handle the challenges we face. We can do it. See you next month.